Well, everybody's got to start somewhere, so here's my first video. Um, Mostly wanted to make this video because this is kind of a little known species, and it's a C.A.R.E.S species. It's on the uh, endangered, critically endangered is the last thing that they listed it as. Um, I believe it hasn't been found in the wild since 2019. A common name for it is the pitch black fulu. I think I'm going to probably butcher this, but it's the yssichromis piceatus, I think is the Latin name, or at least what they're calling it right now. But it's a really cool species, and had a lot of fun with it. The reason it's called pitch black fulu is because there's always usually one of them that's very, very dark. They kind of vie for dominance in the tank. Sometimes there'll be multiples that are dark black with red fins. Their fins will brighten up nice and red, and sometimes there'll only be one, which usually there's always at least one that's a little bit darker. But they are I found them for sale, and I couldn't find much information about them, but I was interested in getting them just because of their endangered label, just to see what I could do, if I could possibly breed them and spread them around. And I actually have been successful breeding them. I have maybe 20 fry in a grow out tank. A few weeks ago, I noticed that there was one holding female. Actually, it was a little over a month ago now, and I took her out and put her in a 10-gallon tank and let her hang out there for a little while until she spit them out, and then I put her back in here. But I didn't find much information on them originally. They said they sold them to me with a pack of 6, and they sent 7 of them, and it said 30 gallons, and this is a 29-gallon tank. So I just decided to try that to see what would happen. I had some bigger tanks available if needed. At first, I was a little worried about aggression because they did seem to kind of fight with each other while they were establishing some dominance, but they kind of cooled off, and they've done fine since then. I haven't noticed any injuries or any problems with aggression, but they are an African cichlid. They're from Lake Victoria, so they can show some aggression. The males are dark gray, with red fins. The females are kind of a silverish greenish color. I believe there's only 2 females in this tank. Sometimes I think that some of the males will kind of make themselves look like females to stave off aggression, but because I used to think I had 3, and now I look at it again and it looks more like there's only 2 females in there. So I couldn't find a ton about their diet, but I do think that they eat plants. I used to have more plants in this tank. There was an Amazon sword that just couldn't grow because they kept um, chipping pieces off of it, and there was one plant in the middle, and it kind of got ripped apart too. Although there's been a little bit of an algae issue in the tank, and I don't think that it was able to grow very well, just because it was getting overtaken by the algae and I had to clean it a lot. And that's just me being new and learning this hobby. But there also were bite marks in those plants too. So I do think that they kind of nibble on plants, even though some places said herbivore, some places said omnivore. But I just basically feed them flakes, some community flakes with both spirulina and krill flakes in there. And I do give them brine shrimp and uh, what else? Maybe some pellets and some carnivorous pellets and things like that. So they seem to be able to eat anything, and they haven't seemed to have a problem. I haven't noticed any issues anyway. So, but they're a tropical fish, so temperature I've got it set at 77. Um, and and then I do have I have really soft um, acidic water at baseline. So I have some oyster shells in the bottom of the tank to kind of raise the pH a little bit. Um, I know some people say crushed coral. At one point I saw oyster shells, and I have chickens, so oyster shells are pretty available to me. So I tried that with some of my tanks with the needed higher pH, just mixed it in with the substrate, and it seemed to work just fine. So hardness went up and pH went up. So, um, but whatever they're in, they seem to be doing well. Obviously, they were able to breed, so so that's really nice. But yeah, so but overall, really interesting species. They can sometimes be a little shy when you go around the tank. They do kind of get used to you after a while, and they'll be a little bit more active. I'm kind of happy that they're being active right now because sometimes they just like to hide behind that rock. And yeah, but overall, just a really fascinating African cichlid. Let me know if there's anything else I forgot or any questions you have about them. Definitely one that I would like to see be made more available. And I think I was able to breed them, and I'm no expert at breeding, so I think that they could potentially be bred. Some of the studies that I've read say that there isn't any issues with inbreeding and things like that. So yeah, I think they either have enough diversity or they're immune to it. I'm not really sure. I'm not familiar with that. All that works. Like I said, I'm not a master breeder. I just maybe just got lucky because one of the websites I found said that they're very difficult to breed. So kind of made me feel happy about that. But I just gave them brine shrimp and about 3 times a week, and they did it. So anyway, let me know if you have any questions about them, and I can answer anything I forgot. But thanks a lot.